Hello everyone, I am Dakshkanya of grade 10B. In this video, I want to share you some of the information regarding the history which made a huge impact to the mankind. On 6 August 1945, an atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima by US Air Forces. This was the first time a nuclear weapon had ever been used. The fireball created by the bomb destroyed 13 square kilometers of the city, and those dead as a result numbered up to 180,000 people. 3 days later, a second atomic bomb was dropped on the city of Nagasaki, killing between 50,000 and 1 lakh people. The impact of the bombing on Hiroshima. Hiroshima stands on a flat river delta with few hills or natural features to limit the blast. The bomb was dropped on the city center, an area crowded with wooden residential services and structures, and places of business. These factors meant that the death toll and the destruction in Hiroshima was particularly high. The firestorm in Hiroshima destroyed 13 square kilometers, that is 5 square miles, of the city. Almost 63% of the buildings in Hiroshima were completely destroyed and many more were damaged. In total, 92% of the structures in the city were either destroyed or damaged by the blast and fire. Estimates of total deaths in Hiroshima have generally ranged between 1 lakh and 1,80,000 out of a population of 3,50,000 people. Tens of thousands died immediately and many more in the months that followed. The impact of the bombing on Nagasaki. Due to the hilly geography of Nagasaki and the bombing focus being excess away from the city center, the excessive damage from the bombing was limited to the Urakani Valley and passed off down to Nagasaki. The center of Nagasaki, the harbor, the historic district were shielded from the blast by the hills around the Urakami River. The nuclear bombing did nevertheless prove devastating, with approximately 22.7% of Nagasaki's buildings being consumed by flames, but the death toll and the destruction was less than in Hiroshima. Estimates of casualties from Nagasaki have generally ranged between 50,000 and 1 lakh, with many dying instantaneously and others dying slowly and agonizingly as a result of burns and radiation. Effect of a nuclear weapon. These two events still resonate to this day and serve as a greatest warning of these devastating effects of nuclear weapons, as well as the high death toll. Those that survived the initial detonation firestorms quickly became ill with the radiation poisoning, with symptoms ranging from severe burns, hair loss, nausea and bleeding. This was compounded by the fact that 90% of the medical staff in both cities were either killed or disabled, and what medical supplies existed quickly ran out. Long after the bombings, survivors were still suffering from increased susceptibility of leukemia, cataracts and malignant tumors, with many also being diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder later in life. Accidental or intentional use of nuclear weapons remains significant. No state or international organization has the capacity to address or to provide the short and long-term humanitarian assistance and protection needed in case of a nuclear weapon explosion. When the US dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan, the cities were obliterated. By 1950, over 340,000 people died as a result of generations were poisoned by radiation. This information was brought to you in the remembrance of Hiroshima and Nagasaki Day.
Interesting facts on the blast. Name of the nuclear weapons used. Fat Man, a plutonium impulsion type nuclear weapon. Little Boy, an enriched uranium gun type fission weapon. Thank you.